We good? All right, good afternoon and welcome to the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections and Voter Registration regular meeting. The date is June 13th and the time is 4:34 p.m. We're at 120 West Doherty Street, Athens, Georgia. First item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved. Okay. Motion, Mr. Shirley, second, Ms. Till. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is adopted. Next item on the agenda are the approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes in your packet for review. One is from May 9th, which is a regular meeting, and May 16th, which was a special called meeting, also known as our work session. Yes. So unless, take a moment to review. If you have any changes, we can make those. Otherwise, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt both sets of minutes.
I move that, adopt both sets of minutes.
Okay. Second,
Yes.
motion Ms. Fambro, second Ms. Till. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are adopted. Next item on the agenda is public comment. As usual, we will have 3 minutes. And I will call you in order. Done. They're gonna bring the sheet to me of those that signed in, and then we'll call each person up. So if you wish to make public comment, make sure you sign the sheet. Thank you. Okay. The first person is Josh Friedman. So go ahead and step up to the podium. I'll let you know when your 3 minutes begin. Ready? All right.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Josh Friedman and I'm a representative of the nonprofit Better Ballot Georgia, a instant runoff voting organization. So we have been in conversation with members of the Athens-Clarke County Commission, and we are hoping to pass a non-binding resolution in favor of instant runoff voting here in Athens for local elections. Instant runoff voting would simplify our runoff election system, save taxpayers money, and provide for a more representative government. Already there is growing support from the Athens-Clarke County voters and elected officials as well. And I was directed here by Mayor Gertz himself to ask about the legal and procedural steps that we can take to make instant runoff voting a reality here in Athens. And so I would just like to ask the board here if there are any procedural hurdles that you guys see in the enactment of instant runoff, especially here in Athens.
So our public comment is just comment. It's not a back and forth conversation. Happy to talk with you or other board members after the meeting.
Sure.
So your time is.
Oh, I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. All right. The next person is Julia Detrell. Is that correct?
Close enough.
Okay. I apologize for incorrect. Your time begins now.
I am here as a UGA student. I'm a PhD student with 2 part-time jobs. And I'm just coming to speak in support of the early voting plan, 7 to 7, 7 days a week. Makes it super easy for me coming and going from classes and my GA position and Taylor Loft and just all of the work I'm doing in the community and volunteering. I really appreciate the plan that you guys have put in place, and I hope that it gets adopted. Thank you.
Okay. Ross, your name is crossed out. Correct. The next person on the list is Barbara Turner.
My name is Barbara Turner, and I've just recently returned to Athens after spending 2 years in South Carolina. Very glad to be back. I helped out a little bit with some poll observing here in Athens and have been active with Fair Fight Action. I'm here representing Fair Fight Action and their Democracy Watch program to attend Board of Election meetings. I'm just here to say that I think you guys have done a terrific job with the early voting and the advanced voting. It is so important that we have a lot of stations open in each week so that it gives people the chance to vote. I have experienced a different situation in South Carolina, and it is much easier to vote here. The election office has, from my experience, has done a terrific job in making staff available, all well-staffed. Very rarely are there lines that people are just going nuts over. So congratulations. Thank you so much for the board's support of that.
You. The final person is Miss Jacqueline Elsner.
I'm Jacqueline Elsner, 315 Caldwell Circle, 30605. And I'm here also to talk about the proposed advance voting schedule that Mr. Kadir presented. And he's asking to remove the Sundays. And I would really say we need those Sunday afternoons, 2 Sundays, that we don't have drop boxes anymore. Getting an absentee ballot requires a wet signature on the application. There's so many, now there are hurdles to do advanced voting other than in person during the hours of. And so Sunday afternoons are really, really important. I just feel as if we have to allow our people in whatever day and week and hour to get to. Thank you very much.
Okay. Are there any other people wishing to make public comments? Hearing none, we will move forward with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is the director's report, which the board members will find in their packet.
All right, good afternoon, Clarke County, Athens-Clarke County board members. You have in your packet the activity report for the month of May, and Pam is going to lead the discussion in that. And then I will follow accordingly with the board's aid, which was approved by the Mayor and Commission on June 6, 2023.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Hi, Pam. Hello, Ms. Long.
As of this month, we have a total active registered voter of 71,369 total, which involves 12,463 that are inactive, and then I'm sorry, I did it wrong. It's a total of 83,869 total voters, and we've had 71,369 that are active registered and 12,463 that are inactive. And for this month, we had 37 voters that were added. We had in cancellations, we had a total of 94 cancellations, 17 moved out of state, 2 were requested by voters, 74 were deceased, and we actually had 1 felon this time. And also we've had, for its transfers, we had 519 to transfer in and 19 to transfer out. And as far as voter IDs requested and issued, we had a total of 26. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pam, thank you. On June 6th, the Mayor and Commission approved the agenda item that was submitted in the consent agenda, and your pay will be effective on July 1st of $150 per day of training and conferences, that training that's offered by the Secretary of State's office, and then $250 per month meetings with requirement of meeting. So that was, again, it will be effective July 1st. And I'm looking at Alita because I printed the information and I left it on my desk. So we'll make sure I had all my
We've
numbers
talked about it
correct.
so much, I think we all have it memorized.
Yes, you have. And I thank y'all for being patient as we, try to get the definites and everything in order. The next thing is I have been having meetings with Chairman Raffle prior to the board meetings. on the Monday prior, or if it's the week prior, sometimes we can, but no later than on Monday. And I would like to add, first of all, that's pretty, I won't say that's regular. It's something that does happen when it comes to boards and administration with the government. So it's no secret meetings, just to put that out there. It is to discuss the agenda, what you have on your agenda, and if there's anything that I need to provide you so that, you know, we look like we're a team, because we are, right? So what I would like to, and Chairman Raffles suggested this as well, that I schedule, and it's at your discretion, if you like to, like one month, just meet with me as well, and we can sit down, have coffee, and just go over some things. You know, I hear from you, you hear from me, and you know, just to collaborate and get everybody's vision. It's not gonna be a meeting, you know, it's be advertised, but just a director board kind of.
Involved.
Yes. I think that will be good for all of us. All right, and then the city of Winterville, as I mentioned in a previous meeting, will have actually a general municipal election in November, which is November the 7th. But in addition to that, they will have a special election that will be held in conjunction with the general election because there's a vacant seat on their council. The qualifying will be on Monday, August the 21st. And they selected to have, so the code section 21-2-540 states that the qualifying has to be at a minimum of 2 days. So they chose to have actually 3 days. It's 2.5 days is what the code requires. So they chose to have a total of 3 days collectively. And it starts on Monday. The law requires us to start on Monday, but not to end any later than noon on Friday. Okay, so when you're considering the qualifying for the special election that will be called, I just want to tell you to make sure you have what dates you prefer us to have the qualifying. It would be my recommendation to do it the same time, so that there's no confusion.
And you're referring to the special election being the Athens-Clarke County clerk vacancy?
Yes, the clerk report vacancy, yes. And that will be a countywide election. So I just wanted to put that out there for you guys to have a discussion about that. I know it's on your agenda, but for us to get the call and get with the attorney's office to get the call ready for your July election, we will have those dates in there for qualifying. And that seat was actually vacated, or the resignation was effective May 31st, 2023. And so I wanted to share some upcoming events that we're preparing for. Lisa's going to provide you information on the national, it says nation, but it's National Poll Worker Day. And then Pam is going to provide information on the National Voter Registration Day. And then Aletha's going to provide you information about our National Voter Education Week. And yeah, y'all could go in that order, please, starting with Lisa. Thank you.
Hi, hello, board.
Hello.
Okay, so for National Poll Worker Day, we're not going to do anything specific on that day that's honoring our poll workers that we already have, but there'll be some events held in the office to recruit poll workers on that day, on August 16th. And then on August 14th and 15th, we're going to hold 2 events at the library that will be in honor of our poll workers. We haven't completely decided what that's going to look like yet, but we're showing a full-length documentary called No Time to Fail, that was produced by the Carter Center and a group called Better Angels, which is working for more civility in politics. And it's a full-length film that that shows you in real time what it was like to work the 2020 election by following a couple of offices in Rhode Island. And it's pretty amazing. And for us anyway, when we did the screening for our office, we were all really affected by it because we had been so deeply in the middle of all of that. And we think our poll workers would appreciate seeing that too. So we're looking at hosting 2 showings of that, so that we can get enough people, fill the auditorium. And at the same time, a reception for them and honoring poll workers that have worked for us for 10 years or more. And we do have a few, and also bringing back some of our elderly poll workers who dropped out in 2020, who had also worked a long time, but didn't feel like they could work during the pandemic. And some of them have come back and some of them hadn't. So we want to do something to honor them.
They'll walk away with some appreciation as well, not just the film. It'll be maybe a little bite of maybe cake. I don't know. We're still working on the plans of that, and some kind of gift.
Some kind of gift, a plaque or something to honor their years of service.
Yes.
And you guys are invited, of course, to come.
All right, and then Pam, National Voter Registration Day. Got a lot coming up.
Okay. National Voter Registration Day is on September the 19th. And we're planning on to have a National Registration Day that will be held at the Athens Regional Library from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Still kind of trying to decide conclusively how we're going to do it. I know we will have a table. I would like to see where we will be informing the voters about registration if they're not clear about it, and make sure we can check their status to see if they, are still registered to vote. If they're not, then hopefully during that time we're doing some updating and, getting them ready and prepared for voter registration, letting them know the deadlines when it comes to voting and everything. Last year we did lemonade stand, so we kind of figure out what we're gonna do this year to be in the library, but we know definitely it will be on the 19th and it will be at the library. And as Lisa stated, you are welcome to come.
Hello, everyone. Hi, so I have National Voter Education Week. It's a lot of national stuff going on. So that is the week that we have chosen to educate our elected officials and our voters. On October the 3rd, we're going to educate our elected officials and the political party, specific people. And then October the 5th, we're going to educate our voters. And both of these meetings will take place at the library. It's not set in stone yet at the library. I've sent out my email and I'm waiting on her to reply back.
And both of those forums will be public. So the public can come and hear what we're providing to the elected officials, and the elected officials can come and hear what we're providing to the community itself. But it is open to the public, and this is actually part of one of the items or that we're highlighting in our strategic plan. And this is something that we actually did in 2021. And our goal was to provide it every odd year. So initially we did it in August, but finding out that National Voter Education Week there's actually an education week, we're going to start doing it in October. And of course, that'll be trying to fit it around our schedules, because sometimes there's going to be specifically the election that we'll have LNA going on during that time, possibly, as well as poll worker training. So we'll be doing a lot of educating at that time. So other than that, open records request, Audra, do we have any this time?
For the month, good evening, I'm sorry. For the month of May, we had 3 open records requests, and those responses are in the back of your packet.
All right. And I don't believe I have anything else. And we'll await for your agendas for the hearings. Yes,
And if, when you're doing your hearing or creating the agenda, if you could add a, section on there for me for recommendations on the timeline of what it will look like if you voted as a board to have these changes to be effective prior to the November election versus prior to the March 12th presidential preference election. So I do want us to kind of look at that, what will work best.
Okay. Does any board member have a question for the director or the staff? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to old business. The item under old business is resolution for advanced voting schedule template. Is the one in our packet the most recent?
That is the most recent one that Hank had sent to us. Yes.
Okay. Weren't you working on a different one or?
I was, and I guess just by way of context,
The chair recognizes Mr. Shirley.
thank you, Mr. Chair. The intent here was back in the fall, we realized we kept coming back and doing the same thing over and over again, 2 months before an election, deciding where do we want to have voting, what days, what times, that kind of thing. And several of them, I believe all of us kind of independently came to agreeing that wouldn't it be great if months ahead of time, we had a general plan? And that's what we've been nibbling at ever since. Hank has dived right into the nitty gritty of which days, which times, which locations, which is very, very important now. I know last month we've been checking in on that every month. I had just emailed out to us about an hour or two ago, just kind of a draft of what the rest of the resolution might look like, just kind of the whereases and and then like as a general template. I know that Hank is not able to be here tonight. Just me personally, I really would rather, this is a pretty important thing. I want for all 5 of us to be in on it if we can. So I just ultimately don't want to actually vote on anything tonight. But that's kind of, I guess, the context and where I am with it.
Hank mentioned to me that we could go ahead and vote on it in his absence, but whatever the rest of us decide to do. This is not what I was anticipating voting in favor of, at least, because
Why don't we set it aside?
Okay.
Well, you said it. I move that we table it.
Okay. Give me a second.
Yes.
Okay, this item. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things that, we have in our strategic plan is, us to, with our communication being a little better. And one of the things is so that we're not going down the foxhole when it comes to the advanced voting process. So I'm going to, so this came to me today, so y'all got, just bear with me a little bit. So my vision is for you to have I'm gonna say maybe every 3 months, a retreat, or every 6 months, a retreat. And you can talk about everything that you want to get done in that 6 months. So that template that we have could be different. And I'm gonna say, because suppose it's just a runoff election and it's, something that we know is not gonna be a large turnout. Would you consider having the same schedule as you would for the presidential preference primary? Would you consider having the same schedule for the general election?
Thought we were doing different versions for.
That's what we have been talking that way. We have been talking that way.
Okay, but I wanna organize a retreat for you, where we can just, you all and us, and of course it'd be open to the public, of course. But have a retreat and talk about like your goals, different things that you want to accomplish in that particular time range, as well incorporate the scope of what, the Spanish language and everything. So y'all just kind of be patient with me. I'm excited about this and I wanted to share it. So, yeah.
And also, I'm noticing what you're saying. And some of the things, I've been on the board 4 years that don't even strike across my mind. But one of the things there are different elections that have different amount of people. So if you see any of those pitfalls, you would be so kind to pass that information on to us so we can look in advance at what it really actually should look like and not just a cookie cutter. You know, but still doing it in advance.
Yes, sure.
I think your retreat's a great idea,
Yes, yes.
because things change.
Yes. And y'all's minds change too, right?
My mind will never change. Don't worry.
One track over here.
No, I mean, yeah.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor and a second by Ms. Till. Motion made by Ms. Fambro to table resolution for advanced voting schedule template until need to have a date. So you want to table it to the next regular meeting?
Next regular meeting, yes. If y'all are in agreement.
We vote on it.
Okay,
I've heard, I think it might have just been an email to me, but I think Hank is not going to be able to make it to next month's meeting either. Which I know begins to become a matter of, we got to get on with this thing. But if we're going to bump it to the next meeting and he's not here again, I would probably have the same concern, which I'm numbered, but we want to move it to August. That's coming up on the November
Why don't we just
election.
wait and see if he doesn't come next meeting, we vote on it. We can't just keep putting him down the road.
What?
We'll give you a chance.
isn't that what the government does?
I'm done with it.
Good point. Then I have a motion by Ms. Fambro to table this item until July.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on. Well, under old business, the first item is call for special election for clerk of court, and it has my name on it, but I defer to the attorney's office and the director on resolution, or are we making a simple motion to call for that, or what are we doing?
So I would think the motion would come with the resolution once it's created, and that will be done by the attorney's office, and I'll get with them on that.
Okay,
And just decide what your qualifying dates will be so that it can be included in your resolution.
so the action we need to take is deciding on the qualifying dates for
Yes.
that election. And then we will need to table this item until July as well, or, okay. All right, so everyone heard that. Everyone has the Winterville election in front of them. Do those qualifying dates satisfy board members? The dates are Monday, August 21st through Wednesday, August 23rd at 5 p.m. The law says a minimum of 2.5 days. That's 3 total days. So Chair will entertain a motion on that, or someone wishes to make a change. I can motion there.
I move.
5 or 12.
No.
As long as it's 2.5 days.
Okay.
So it could be, higher. But for Winterville, it's the 5.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we should keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody
I
was
move-
making a motion?
I move that we set qualifying dates for all November 7, 2023 elections, beginning Monday, August 21st at 8:30, continuing 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. until August 23rd. I just got that from.
Well, hold on, yeah,
I got
so,
the-
yeah, so the resolution says Monday, August 21st at 8:30, and will continue daily from 8 a.m. until 5. So does that mean on Monday it starts at 8:30, Tuesday and Wednesday it starts at 8?
Oh, that's right.
Do we have a second on Mr. Shirley's motion?
My second.
Okay,
Is that too, like, I would defer to the advice from Director Sesby or Ms. Hines about, is that too specific? Do I need to make it more general? Do I need to?
I defer to Director Sosby.
I think it's just it's as specific as,
By saying all November 7 elections, that kind of covers us for.
Oh,
but
yeah.
8:30 gives you time to get in the office, and
yes.
get your coffee, and be ready for.
Well, I think
mass
the law says
people coming
30.
through the door.
I think the code section.
Or have that.
30, 21 to 540, I think it says 8:30 to begin. But because we open at 8, say 8
Right, okay.
for the following days.
We do not have a second, I believe. Could you reread your
I
motion?
did.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Fambro. Could you reread it before we vote? Just so it's clear.
I move to set qualifying dates for all November 7, 2023 elections to begin Monday, August 21st at 8:30 a.m., continuing from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., ending on Wednesday, August 23rd.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is preparation for public hearings regarding 2024 polling precincts. And that again has my name, so I will start and then defer to the rest of the group. My vision, I believe we talked about this during the work session. My vision is to have big maps for folks to come in. We'll call the meeting to order. And just have open conversation, kind of like how we did with when we were in here with the redistricting.
I think we also discussed at the beginning of the meeting, we had
You're right.
some, you want to finish?
No, go ahead, because I don't wholly remember, but as you say it, it's coming back.
Okay, and then you can add to it if I forgot something. But we thought it would be good at the beginning of this meeting with posing to the public why we have gone through the effort to change these polling locations, that we give them some explanation. It wasn't just a whim that we decided we didn't have enough to do, that we're trying to make polling easier for them, closer to where they live, and everyone have equal access to their polling location, because like multimodal downtown, their voting
Precinct.
their precinct, it's way away. So, we're trying to justify everything that we're doing to help the public in voting.
Would you like to give the intro session? Yeah, the chair recognizes Mr.
Nobody's gonna believe that, but I was walking through the house today. And same thought came across my mind that we could together, maybe say why each of us feels that, because that's what I was doing in my mind. It just like Ann said. And I am in total agreement, because I think we need that statement, because we did not do this haphazardly. We took great time and great thought into it. And to bring a lot more equity to everybody that lives in Athens-Clarke County. And as a matter of fact, I want to say that we understand that individuals may have problems with this, but when it comes to voting, we have to look at everybody. We have to look at the whole area, the way it's set up, and that's what we do.
How about we have one opening general statement as to the purpose and function, and then if anyone wants to add to it, how they feel about it and how they participated. I think that would be very good to have.
The general statement, I'm not articulating it well, but the general statement will come from what we have together done and put it together.
Yeah.
And that will be it from all of us.
Yes, including the information and the input that we got from the GIS and we could not have done this without them. They were such a great help and their wisdom in knowing the county as well as they did. So just a general statement to cover those kind of things. And then the individuals that wanted to speak for a minute or two, just give their input as to why they think it is a good idea.
Then we'll give the public a chance to look at the maps and ask us questions. We've confirmed the GIS office will be there, at least one of them.
Yes.
Are we gonna be in this building?
No,
I remember now, I'm sorry.
I'll just repeat it, so it's in the meeting. So the two sessions that we're discussing will be held on June 20th and June 27th at 2 of the new polling locations. The first meeting will be at the Ben Epps Airport in the community room. And that address is 1010 Ben Epps Drive in Athens. And then the following meeting will be June 27th at 6 p.m. at the Cooperative Extension Office, which is also a new election day polling location. It's not a new, it's currently an early voting location. And that address is 275 Cleveland Road. There we go.
Oh, okay, Chairman Raffle, if I could. I believe you probably would like to have a discussion about the Miriam Moore location versus the Herd Park
Oh, right.
to determine if that's the route you want to take. That is
Oh, yeah.
information.
Thank you for the reminder. I think we should discuss that now.
Prior to the hearing.
Could you just explain what you're referencing?
Yes, so in our contacting Miriam Moore, if you recall, there was some conversation about receiving pay for use of the facility and if the facility would be available for us to use for election day. We used the location for advanced voting. So this would require us, number one, we'd have to definitely look at the wattage and electrical capacity to determine if it would be large enough for us having it as a location election day.
Herd Park.
No, for Miriam Moore, we would still need to.
Oh,
evaluate
because the
that.
machines would be different.
Yes,
That's-
total different machines.
Right.
So in lieu of, the going back and forth with Miriam Moore, we reached out to Herd Park, which is like kind of in the same little area.
Same block.
Yeah, kind of like
Parcel, same parcel.
yes. And so we have communicated with them and it sounds like it's something that they'd be willing for us to have. We've done evaluations on the electrical. Nope.
We have not been to Herd Park yet. I've been waiting to find out what you wanted to do. So that's why
But
I
it's a
wanted Charlotte at this.
Wholly county owned and operated facility, so.
Still, there are some challenges with the building, but we need to go out and look at them and make sure that we can overcome them for ADA access.
Hold on. Let's let Miss
Sorry.
Sosby finish.
And we have done some other locations, so that's why I was kind of confused if we had done that already
Okay.
or not, but it's still getting your go ahead. If that's
Oh.
something that you really would be interested in doing. We just kind of did that as being proactive.
Sure. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Fenner.
I don't know whether we'll be able to get the Miriam Moore Center. But I go over there, I used to go over to the Herd Center to exercise. And the Miriam Moore is better for elderly people and handicapped people. Because it's a kind of a stretch. Now, I drove over there with a friend of mine the other day. And they got about 2 handicap parking in the back. But the rest of the parking, you either gotta come up a steep incline or come up some steps.
Yep.
So, if there's any way we can get the Miriam Moore building and it's satisfactory for election day voting, that would be my preference. As far as accessibility,
That's my preference as well, but.
but we don't know.
Now, my concern is, say we were not able to get Marion Moore for election day, but we were able to retain it for early voting. And if we were to have election day at Herd Park and early voting at Marion Moore, I'm worried about some confusion. I understand it's 100 feet away, but if you're mobility challenged, then that is a problem.
Because even if you park at Miriam Moore, you have to go down steps to access the Herd building. Because.
And if you park at Herd, you have.
Park at Herd, you have to go up.
So it's not the parking lot's not the best.
Is there anything else in that?
Well, does the dance building have?
I was gonna say, would you like me to reach out to the East Athens Dance Center?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a room in there. I know we couldn't use the dance floor room itself, but
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like the lobby is pretty good sized there. No?
It's got a lot of things in there.
I haven't been over there in a couple of years, but we were in a room where they had a baby shower and it was a pretty big room.
Okay.
So like I say, I don't know what
And I
they
think-
converted it to now, but
That's a better parking because there's a circle so you can drop off.
Been there one time, so yeah, it is.
What?
I said I've been there one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it.
Yeah, the girls take dance there. Been there a few times.
If I could ask Lisa, what room was that ambassadors, innovation ambassador, is that the room where she's referring to?
I don't know about any other rooms. I only went to that one, but that is the big auditorium where they hold their dance recitals.
Gotcha, okay. That was
Okay,
nice.
well, let's.
I'll find out.
Check on that. And we'll have that within time, I think.
I'll have it before your hearing.
Okay, but again, my preference, personal preference is Mary Moore, election day and early voting.
I'm curious so 3 buildings in this area, Mary Moore Community Service Center, East Athens Education Plant Center, and Herd Park. If all 3 of them were completely available the way they are right now, which one, for example, I hear that Herd Park is not the best for accessibility for voters. That makes me think maybe not. Between East Athens Dance Center and Miriam Moore, which one of them is a better facility for us, just in terms of the access getting in the door? Can we at least tell that much by?
I feel like.
With that, not the electrical stuff, not inside there, just, okay, we don't know yet. So, because I'm thinking if, it seems like we kind of stopped here and hit the brakes with this because we did not get an immediate okay from Miriam Moore about making them an election day voting location. Have I got that right? So we began to look at other options as well as engage in a conversation with them about, hey, can we sort this out?
Yes.
So if things were to clear, the logjam cleared and they were fine with it, I'm curious, before we go investigating the East Athens Dance Center, if Miriam Moore is better anyway, better to invest our energy in making it right with them rather
I
than.
was just gonna ask Ms. Fambro if you know any of the board members or anyone over there.
I've already talked to Dr. Duncan,
Oh, okay.
but I'm not prepared to. And it wasn't anything that she, that she's very, I will say this. She was, after I talked with her, she was excited about the fact that, it would be a permanent place, in the area that it's in, where people can walk to the polls. We did not talk about the other side of, the conversation that maybe she had with staff.
Oh, okay.
But her enthusiasm was up, I mean, it is, even the people in the community are excited.
Sure. Do you feel as though you could talk to her again and possibly?
I can, and also talk to another gentleman that's on the board. So he said they had a board meeting coming up and, I really talked it up and he's enthusiastic about it because he lives geographically, they could walk over there, so.
Okay.
That's at least 2 members. I don't think that maybe their board is up to date on the website. I'm not sure, but I keep hearing things that is not up to date, so I didn't reach out to anybody else.
Okay. The other thing that came to my mind on this discussion in preparation for the hearings are the numbering sequence. Because I know we changed them, and so my hope is, for example, I live in Commission District 7, and I don't know how many polling places we put within that, but it would be 7A, 7B, 7C. And then District 6 may only have 2, so 6A and 6B. That's how I feel about it, but I don't know if others think about that, but I think we should talk about that and possibly decide so that that can be part of the presentation.
Well, while we're paused here, then what comes to mind for me is it better for us? Is it better to have a name of a place for the polling location or a number? Is it like better to say 1A, 6B, 7Z, or is it better to say Miriam Moore? That's what we're thinking of. We know what we're talking about versus, do you speak 6A? Do you speak 7B? No.
I
It's
feel like
forward
the
attention.
staff refers to them as numbers.
Yes.
Or both, so both of
The
them.
people refer to them
It's
as.
name.
As building name, name of building.
Yeah, well, oh, no, yeah, I wasn't proposing that.
Oh, I see.
But remember, we had the list in the beginning, said 1A is Winterville,
Right.
whatever.
So the numbering and lettering, then I guess if the numbering.
Because you guys need a numbering sequence to do the ballot combos and all those.
Yes.
So why not 1 through 24? Well, I know it used to be they were coterminous with the commission boundaries, right? But in older times, but is it,
I mean,
is it clunky to have
either way,
1 through 24?
I feel like it makes more sense.
You know, it was a convenience for staff always, you know?
What's
We
your,
don't know, and I don't know when, you know, when you all get to doing the sequences and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, that would be something you guys would have to tell us, does this work? Well, it doesn't work. So that's
Yeah.
where I am.
So in my previous life, it was like precinct 1 and it was Wilson, like the location or a name that somebody came up with a long time ago. Because Wilson it wasn't like a church or something that was named after Wilson. Somebody just said, we're just gonna call this Wilson.
maybe that was
And
the
so
poll worker.
One Wilson. Yeah. So when I came here and I saw 1A, 1B, I was like, okay. So there's something behind this. Like you said, at one point, everybody that was in 1 was Commission District 1. Then it became, we need to split this because it's too many voters. So then 1 became a 1A and a 1B. So they split that 1 and, see what I'm saying? So it depends on where we're going. So what do we see what our future's gonna look like? Do we see that our precinct is eventually gonna go back to county commission districts? And if that's the case, I'd say yeah, something different.
Yeah.
But to me, 1 through 24 is simple. Very simple.
What do you hear?
I don't have the map in front of me, but we don't, the map that we kind of arrived at does not follow, the precincts don't share boundaries with the commission districts, right? We did,
No.
ignored that and we went
Oh, right.
by census
They don't.
tracts, I guess. Whatever.
But if I could, I would like to hear from my staff because I always have my own vision, but they're doing the work. I prefer to hear from them. So Pam, you're you're over the data entry. So if you could give me some input on that, would you say like precinct 1 would be Winterville, precinct 2 would be another? What you think? Would that be more simple?
Kind of it's a seesaw in between them, like you said, the 1 through 24, either like you said, if you're keeping them in the commission districts, like you say, you would still have to break them down to like the 1A, 1B. Or like you said, if it's in commission district, if you got 2 precincts in there, it'll be 2A, 2B, so.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
I would say since the current map that you all are considering isn't neatly aligned to the mission district for the 124, probably 1 through 24 makes sense. That does actually confuse people when we put up maps. For instance, when we were doing the special election for District 2,
Yes.
that confused people quite a great deal because they would see like 5C, but this is Commission District 2, so what is that? I thought, isn't that Commission District 5?
Right.
So anything that gets away from being correlated with commission districts, I feel like it's called.
And making a simple change like that should be easy. I mean, I think I'm saying to the voters, because they refer to it as, oh yeah, I vote at the library. They don't say I voted
Rarely.
6A or whatever. Now, Lisa, I think she's got an issue with
I
that.
think that the staff needs to take a vote amongst themselves. That's how that'll be resolved.
Yeah.
I think for the future, it's actually probably a really good thing to do. I don't disagree at all. But it all depends on if you want to do this numbering now and when you're going to implement this plan. I can tell you right now that we don't have the staff or the time to change everything in every system that we've labeled with these precinct numbers and how we keep up with everything in the warehouse to be ready for November. It won't happen.
And that will mean every voter getting a new card instead of voters who are
So-
affected by the changes.
Be confused.
We just, so like 5 Points Fire Station, what was that number?
7A.
7A. So now 7A is just that,
Change the
or
name.
It
whatever
just goes
his
to
name
the
is.
church, 7A just goes to the church.
And, okay, because I think that part might be confusing.
So
Well, like regarding the, taking the multimodal, for example, and the airport, it's a big distance, so that would be confusing. Well, someone could potentially say, well, I vote here and now I gotta go over there. They could live at those apartments there. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch.
I think it's a stretch, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay.
So the voters refer to it with the names
They do.
of the locations. They pay no attention to,
The numbers are free.
they pay no attention to that. We use the numbers. The numbers help us when we're getting ready to do the ballots, because that information is on our ballots. It helps us when we're doing their name badges. We have everything separated out. The warehouse is separated out
Totally by
according
that
to
numbering system.
that number system. It's easier to say 1A section is over here, 2A section is over here, and to just go and drop, and when they're packing the bags and all of that stuff. And to just change it, oh my God.
Yeah, it'll take some more.
Be every voter receiving a new voter.
Yeah, and I do believe there would be changes have to be made in Jarvis
It will be, yeah.
for
Okay.
how the ballots are produced. Changes within.
Chair recognizes Adam.
So to clarify, at least I, for one, do not at all want this to happen by November. From the outset, the whole conversation was about 2024.
Right.
Because I totally hear that's going to be, even before there was going to be an election in November, I did not want to get this done until January. So at least that's me, but okay, so I'm seeing nodding heads. So please, I not at all want this to be a change that happens. Now, that understood, then, what about the idea of making a renumbering happen all over by March? Is that still too big of a thing?
Never.
Yep.
The good time is never, the best time is never? I got you. It's always going to be ahead.
Okay.
25.
How about this?
Either have to happen then or in 2020.
To wrap up my comments then.
It doesn't affect anyone but you all. So you all do what you need to do, would be my
Well,
thought.
so then to wrap up the thought about sequencing, which I'm so glad we brought up. As we pointed out, we have, when we communicate outwardly with the community about the precinct 7A, 5C, and 3B, people say, wait a minute, what if we just stop using those terms in outward facing communication? We just say Park Central.
We can do that.
Right, at least that will, right, that way we have our system on the inside, and when people talk about fire station number 7, we know it's, would that be, does that solve the problem?
We don't even know what it.
Right, but like there's
We, yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
would that help do both? All right, cool.
We.
Thank you.
Practicing.
Okay, to bring it back. So since there's no change, there's no vote needed, so let's move on.
Amen. Thank y'all.
We don't need to,
Oh, that was a small thing within the presentation for.
yeah, we didn't take a.
Next year we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll add the board pay on there too while we're at it. Talk about that again. That was cute. Okay, final item on the agenda under, what?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I had more questions about the preparation for the hearing.
Okay,
But it's more procedural stuff.
2 minutes.
If, Attorney Hines, if you don't mind, this is still, we're calling this a hearing, but it's a meeting. There'll be a quorum of us present, so it'll be a meeting, so there must be an agenda posted. As far as the agenda goes, as I get that typed up for us, should we have a suspension of the rules? Should we, how, versus having an agenda item that says, pause for consideration of maps by the public? And then public comment, and then, like for our work sessions, we've suspended the rules and resumed the rules. What would you recommend to keep our agendas compliant?
So I haven't been to one of these hearings. Is the
They haven't
intent,
happened yet.
okay, they haven't happened. Is the intent that you would have some sort of like public discussion by you all as the body first, then have a open discussion and sort of interaction with the public?
Correct.
And then would you come back to
Much,
anything with you all?
The only business I'm expecting would be agenda, adjourn. But I'm sorry, that's me.
I've been to some like SPLOS things where the staff is there interacting with people, looking at whatever the thing is. So that's what I was envisioning, but doing, like we said, first, a statement, saying intro, basically.
I thought that it would be good if the public could come in 45 minutes early or 30 minutes early, and the maps will already be on the wall so that they can look at it. It's gonna cost less time within the meeting if they have some idea about what it actually looks like. It's hard talking to people when they are not really understanding or seeing, the whole thing. And I just think it'd go much more smoothly if we could have some time before the meeting for the public to view these maps. I mean, that's where I am.
What time do we have the rooms from?
We have the rooms from 6 until 7:30. I'll be there as much as an hour before setting up.
Could we have the map ready at 5? Prior, well, I guess 6:30 or 6.
At least take them out there, I guess.
5:30. Okay.
I think.
And then the agenda can still say 6 because we're gonna call the meeting to order at that time. So.
Right, but we will send out some notices to the public, through the newspaper, through the website, that they can come in 30 minutes, an hour early to view the maps. That's the only way to have a real discussion. Because within the meeting, getting up and going and look is just chaos.
Idea.
So viewing 30 minutes prior.
Oh, hold on.
I'm sorry. Why don't you have the, Alita was saying something else that's good too, just about how to label the maps so people can read them. How soon can we get the maps ready? Could you just post them in the office too? And
But they're big. They're gonna be the big.
Attorney Hines, did you have?
26.
yes, well, I was just trying to get a better sense. So in many ways, it sounds like you're not really gonna have a true meeting. But it sounds like you have a quorum, you intend to have a quorum there. So I think you're probably right. The safest bet is to have the agenda, call the meeting to order. And although it's unusual, maybe just suspend the rules, like you said, to make it clear, you're not gonna continue to operate the way that you normally would during a meeting with you recognizing, the speakers and then adjourn. I think that's probably the cleanest thing, other than bringing people there and then adjourning it for the purposes of sort of breakout groups, which is something we recently did. So like if you knew, for example, that there were gonna be 5 tables and you all were gonna be sitting at different tables, talking to people, but not really talking to each other and not coming back to do any work as a body, maybe you could just have the meeting briefly, start it, then adjourn the meeting for the purpose of entering into these breakout groups with citizens. And then that would be the end of the
Because we
formal meeting.
may interact with each other, but we will not conduct business.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, we recently did this with the Public Safety Civilian Oversight Board, although I think they ended up doing their breakouts separately than what they originally intended. I think there's a risk with that approach. If you're all in the same room, it would be really easy to inadvertently huddle up and start talking about business. So it's probably safer to suspend the rules. Yeah, it's probably just the easiest thing to do.
I have one other suggestion. And I'm a person of order. I love rules and regs. And I'm thinking that before, as I said, before the meeting starts, let the people look at it, let them do like they usually do, come up, make a commentary on it. We'll have good notes taken. And when we have another meeting, if we so choose, we can take in consideration some of the things that the people have said. But I think we risk having chaos if we try to merge all of this together and have back and forth conversations with people in the public.
What if we had, this is just off the top of my head, some clipboards around the room for suggestions? Where
That's
people
even
could
better.
write down their questions, their suggestions, and we can look at those later. And not take time to individually hear everybody talk and get involved in some lengthy conversation. Just write down your suggestions. Yes, Nathan?
We post the maps on the website.
Yeah, I thought JS was gonna put it up on their portal. Thought we had
I
talked
think
about that.
it's something that they can do. The concern is that, is it gonna be viewable? Friendly, so to speak.
Right.
So I kind of like what you're saying, just a suggestion, and then like Ms. Willis said, come back the second meeting and address the concerns, and then you're gonna vote in July meeting, right? So-
Unless there's major concerns, then we need to have another work session to sort out whatever thing we didn't
I
think
think
of.
we got a plan.
So just to review, we have an agenda for, let me go back. The room will be ready by 5:30. Members of the public can come, look at the maps, compile their thoughts, write them down on the clipboard. We'll call the meeting to order at 6 PM. Conduct our meeting, suspend the rules. Engage in conversation, just throughout the room.
Chaos, I'm telling y'all, chaos.
That will be your conversation, not the community, right?
If you're including the community, but if
Well-
if it's just the board.
I mean, in my mind, I'm viewing this different than a hearing because there's value in face-to-face conversations with people explaining, this voter says, well, did you think about the big ditch that's next to that building? Oh, I had no idea. Okay, maybe that's not a good, and having those conversations and working through those things with people. I mean,
That's when they write it on the.
They're right on the clipboard.
I don't know.
There, the ditches there.
I mean, we've talked about transparency in this group and all these things, and I want to have open dialogue with people to hear their concerns or hear their acceptance or praise of what we've improved. So,
As a classroom teacher, I also crave the structure and the rules and let's keep things moving smoothly. So I'm absolutely sympathetic with that. And if this were going to culminate in a vote, I definitely would not want to have the free flowing. But it sounds like, especially with the advice of Attorney Hines, that there's not going to be that, right? If worst case, if it were to be 400 people that show up and it's just madness, we would say adjourn, goodbye, right? Right? I mean, if it gets to be too much, that's what I'm thinking about with what your concern is. I definitely want to hear the people, give people a chance to know that we listened to them, we heard them. But I am concerned about the order of it. But as long as we get to say our piece and we have Director wants to mention her piece also.
Some
Then we
people
can open
want
it
to
up.
talk longer. So we'll just ask them, this is not a full length discussion on this. This is just kind of highlighting. So if you would just write that down
Right,
for us.
right.
Don't get caught up in an hour conversation with one person.
Right.
and I guess maybe we should have called it open house. That's more what I'm thinking of it as, rather than a hearing.
Yeah.
An open house where come have a cookie,
Yeah.
look at the maps, but there's laws we still have to adhere to. So that's why we have to have some type of structure
Right.
within it because we are a body and, Miss Taylor.
If you're gonna, I'm just trying to think it through, you're talking about the clipboards all around the room. As a former teacher, it would be my suggestion, instead of all the clipboards, to have, say, a half a sheet of paper, question or comment, person's name and their contact information,
Very good.
like an email address, and have a basket or box or something, and they put it so that you don't have all these different handwritings on one and can't read this or that. But just a half sheet of paper, question or comment, the voter's name.
That's something staff could do for us.
Oh.
And maybe their polling location.
Yeah, those are.
Oh, for sure.
Some ideas.
Are you a registered voter in Clarke County?
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Have us added to that, they're like 5x7 index cards, would be perfect size.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I think what I see, you're asking for a charrette. You're not asking for back and forth. Where people come in and, tell you what their idea is, you take it back to the architects and you do this and you tweak that. which we do want to do tweaking, but I've been to more meetings than I want to talk about.
I mean,
But I think where we're headed now, excellent idea.
Yeah, good.
Very excellent.
yeah, this is, okay. I have a different view than I think you do on this. I want to have more of an open dialogue. Talk to people, but whatever.
That can happen afterwards, right? Like,
Sure.
Much like we do with people that come to the meetings.
I'll be
right?
willing to give up some of my time afterwards to answer questions.
Okay, well then that,
March around.
yeah, I'll stay there till however we need to.
Everybody wins, yeah.
So let's go back again. Simple agenda, rooms open at 5:30, conduct a meeting. We give our comments, whatever. We will allow for public comment on that agenda, adjourn it, and then just
But they have a time limit when they.
3 minutes. Okay. That's in our bylaws.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So then I have one small procedural question there. Attorney Hines mentioned recommending we call to order, adopt an agenda, suspend the rules. And then do we need to resume the rules or return to the rules? That a motion that needs to happen before we adjourn and
It would just be clear what you're suspending it for, like that you're suspending it for the purposes of engaging in a discussion or an open house or whatever you guys decide to describe it as. And then you can sort of come back to the rules when you go to the next.
does that need a motion or we just kind of flow back into the rules?
I don't think you need a motion.
At the work sessions, we did it via motion, but.
When you returned as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So if you'd like to, please feel free to continue.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. Everyone ready to move on?
Absolutely.
Okay. The final item on the agenda under new business is an item by Mr. Shirley, providing Spanish language translation for voter information materials. And this, I believe, is an update. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am happy to share with everybody who might not know that the mayor and commission approved or the commission approved the mayor's proposed budget that had $15,000 allocated for the purpose of Spanish language translation of election materials. And so now I want to thank you all for your support in at least getting us this far. I know that was not a blanket yes to whatever we're going to do. But now as the next step, I see it as being two parts to this. Whatever we decide to do with that allocation, there will be a process that we go through if we want to involve a project manager. I believe Manager Jones, when we were on opposite sides of the room last month, Manager Jones pointed out there's a whole procurement process that takes some time. He needed a scope of services that we would need to have. I've shared that with the board and with the director. The version that I've adapted a version from DeKalb County scope of services, which we can go in and change as we need to. But the idea here being, for clarity for anybody who's just now listening to this for the first time, we decided not to pursue translating everything like Lynette does. We decided rather to take a baby step toward translating the supplemental materials, not the BMDs, not the ballots themselves. And so that's where that dollar figure had come from. That's what DeKalb County had used to get what they got a couple years ago. So then I have been discussing with Director Sosby. Director Sosby and I are going to sit down with Manager Jones and work out what the procedural formalities need to be on the scope of services. Then we can then talk about what it is that we want to be in that scope of services, the contract for this project manager. And then we get that process going with the county government. And then hopefully, I believe that Manager Jones had said that the turnaround time is 150 days. Does that sound right to anybody who's familiar with that? Okay, so I'm seeing some nodding heads. So by my calculations, if we can get back together as a board by August, say, and we formally approve, if we were to formally approve this process beginning, that would still give us time to have gotten a contract and contracted with somebody by Christmas. And then that would give them the beginning of 2024 to get something ready for the March presidential preference primary. That's where I think we are right now. But this is our pursuit. So
I will just add that I thought it was important for Adam to sit down with Charlotte or with Director Sosby and Manager Jones to work all these details out. I don't think we all need to be involved in that first step.
Right.
Adam's got that. He's driving that boat. I just want to emphasize that if the board were to approve this, my vision is that this process is driven by community input. from that language community, so members from that community who may or may not be in support of this, but I think we need to make sure that all members of that language speaking community are involved in the process.
Are there, excuse
Yeah.
me, are there any suggestions how to reach out to them?
I believe, I've spoken to one person who happens to also be one of our poll workers. And I know that there's others that we could involve, but again, I think that we wouldn't need to have that conversation until if and when we have a person selected to do this, because perhaps one of those people may apply to do that job themselves, and then, you know, that would be the hope, as a project manager, you know, so.
And a key part of the process that DeKalb County used, which I'm suggesting we emulate rather than reinvent the wheel. A key part of the process was their project manager worked with local community groups to be sure that, like, I think it seems to me like they went so far as to sit down either physically, maybe virtually, and just have the draft translation. Does this make sense to you? Does it make sense to you? That way people who spoke different dialects of Spanish in different countries could all say, yep, it sounds good, or change
Because
this.
languages have so much nuance that.
Right.
Two things could mean
Yes.
two different things, just even like they do in English.
To keep it a homegrown, local,
Yeah.
locally produced.
Do you have any comments?
No, I think that's.
All right, we can move on if everyone is. All right. Next item on the agenda are announcements. The next two meetings, as we've discussed at length, are the public hearings, or known as open house by me, on Tuesday, June 20th. The doors will be open at 5:30. The meeting, so let's list it like that. 5:30 doors, like a concert, doors at 5:30, 6 o'clock meeting. And then, do we have the room until 8? Or is it a hard stop at 7?
It needs to be a hard stop at 7:30 so we can clean up and.
Okay. So I'll repeat that. Tuesday, June 20th, doors at 5:30, meeting begins at 6 PM, Van Epps Airport, 1010 Van Epps Drive. The following meeting will be, special meeting will be on June 27th, doors at 5:30, meeting at 6 o'clock at the Property Extension Office, which is 275 Cleveland Road. Then our next regular scheduled meeting will be on July 11th at 4:30 PM, and we will be at 120 West Doherty Street. And if there are no further announcements, comments, or concerns, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion, Ms. Till, second, Mr. Shirley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any adjourned?
Y'all did
Five
that.
minutes.